Welcome to my Capstone MSW project. My name is Judy Hawley, and I chose to do a monthly folk art style piece on small hard canvas that would symbolize what each month meant to me. In August, starting this journey through my MSW, I drew a tree and a blue bird of happiness. I was thrilled to begin my MSW, as it marks the final goal that I set out to accomplish 10 years ago. I titled this New Joy, as the tree represents new growth and the bird represents joy. The theme value of this month of August was competence in professional practice, with the principle of social workers maintaining and increasing their professional knowledge and skill. It's represented through the beginning of my graduate studies. September started with excitement. After 4 years of no vacation time, I took my daughter to Cuba with a friend of mine and her infant. It proved to be eventful when we had to take an emergency flight home a couple days early to save ourselves from a hurricane. At the end of the month, I also traveled to Newfoundland for the first time to do a workshop to yoga instructors on mental health and addiction. The CASW competency here was the value of respect for inherent dignity and worth of persons, with the principle that social workers respect the unique worth and inherent dignity of all people and uphold human rights. Learning about the Cuban people and those in Newfoundland, and starting my placement at the Royal Ottawa Hospital in the Forensics Treatment Unit was a lot of reminders of this principle. The dolphin in the picture is representative of renewal and rebirth, and the homes of Newfoundland represent the comforts of settling into my school routine. October is represented with the changing of leaves in a heart. Confidentiality in professional practice was a value that I felt strongly, with the principle of social workers respecting of their clients' right to confidentiality of information shared in a professional context. I was gaining new knowledge of the interdisciplinary team at my placement and the ways in which the Ontario Review Board, the hospital, and the treatment team and the approved persons were able to share information for the clients found not criminally responsible that I was dealing with. November is represented by a butterfly, which expresses the transitioning that was occurring for me. The value is the pursuit of social justice. It was predominant with the principle of social workers upholding the right of people to have access to resources to meet basic human needs. It was becoming a strong theme as I explored my own biases and judgments within the forensic system and the needs that these clients had without or with advocacy to receive within the community they were living in. My prior held beliefs were beginning to shed. In December, we took another trip, this time to sunny Cancun. The value of service to humanity and the principle of social workers promoting individual development and pursuit of individual goals, as well as the development of a just society, was a theme within my placement, studies, and even my personal life. One of the members of our trip ended up being recently diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, which is what I specialize in my private practice. So a lot of the trip felt a little bit like work. Learning about the culture and the needs of the people of Mexico reminded me of the privileges that we have here and the struggles that the clients at my placement also endure. January is represented by another tree, a home, and the cold snow. There is a 4 on the tree because that is the month of my daughter's birthday, and she is now 4. The value is the integrity in professional practice, with the principle of social workers establishing appropriate boundaries in relationships with clients and ensuring that the relationship serves the needs of the client. And it is expressed because I had to deal with a transfer issue with a private client attempting to cross boundaries in my practice. As well, I had a client through my placement expressing that friendship was part of our relationship as opposed to the working part of our relationship. February, I drew a picture of a nesting doll. It's symbolized because I was learning the many layers upon layers of myself and my practice within my clients. The value is the competency in professional practice, with the principle of social workers contributing to the ongoing development of the profession and its ability to serve humanity where possible, by participating in development of current and future social workers and the development of new professional knowledge. At the time, I was starting to develop a course for St. Lawrence College on impulse control disorder and behavioral addiction. I was using many of the social determinants of health that I was learning about through my MSW. March, I was so busy. I chose two piglets to represent how full we were. My daughter is the little one, carried by me as she had no choice. I was doing my schoolwork, my placement, the course writing for St. Lawrence College, and I was also working at a children's mental health agency. I was very busy, but I also was able to pay off a lot of my growing bills. The value is the respect for inherent dignity and worth of persons, and the principle is social workers who have children as clients determine the child's ability to consent and, where appropriate, explain to the child and the child's parents or guardians the nature of the social worker's relationship to the child is dominated through the work I was doing at the Children's Mental Health Agency. April is represented by a bunny. It symbolizes Easter, but also fertility and growth. I was working hard to finish up at my placement. The value is service to humanity, with the principle of social workers demonstrating and promoting the qualities of honesty, reliability, impartiality, and diligence in their professional practice. I was learning more and more about challenging my biases and maintaining impartiality working in forensics. I was also dealing with an issue with the daycare and an attachment issue with my daughter's stuffed bunny, so it kind of fit to use that as a drawing. May was the value of pursuit of justice and the principle of social workers advocating for fair and equitable access to public services and benefits. My studies were intense, but I took yet another trip, and this time to my teenage hometown in northern Ontario, which is surrounded by 8 different First Nations reservations. There, my cousin was getting married. I learned a lot about the issues that they face in the town without access to health resources that we have here, and in the same way in the troubles that are faced by the First Nations of the areas. It also reminded me of the resiliency in my own family. June is symbolized by a peacock with the meaning and watchfulness and protection. The value of service to humanity and the principle of social workers using their knowledge and skills in bringing about fair resolution to conflict and in assisting those affected by conflict is present. I have had issues with a professor and what I felt is unfair grading, furthered by the unfair way she has treated me in dealing with it. I maintained my position and am appealing the occurrence, but it has been a learning part of my MSW that needs to be included in my overall experience. That's why I chose the peacock. Finally, I chose a medicine wheel of sorts to represent the final month of July. This value is the competence in professional practice and the principle of social workers may break confidentiality and communicate client information without permission when required or permitted by relevant laws, court order, or this code. I experienced the downfall of a previous therapist having broken confidentiality without these reasons with a client. As well, I had the need to break my own confidentiality due to the safety of another client. I also used this medicine wheel to represent my mental, spiritual, and emotional and physical growth, as I wrote about in a health paper, and experienced with my core color being blue for self-awareness and calm as I complete my MSW.